listening to the Energy is Love podcast.
Energy is Love.
The Energy is the Love podcast.
The Energy is Love podcast.
Energy is Love.
The Energy is Love podcast.
The podcast for the universe.
The Energy is Love podcast.
So
It's quiet up here.
it is very quiet up here.
Jesus.
If you watch us on YouTube regularly, you can tell that we are now inside our indoor recording studio / the bedroom that's upstairs in our house. And it's very different than when we're recording outside, which is what we typically have done all year long. And it's only because we love being outside. But now we have like 6 inches of snow in the backyard, so that doesn't work. And our nice little recording studio up here is nice and quiet.
Wind was blowing the last time,
It
so
was.
that was in the background. We couldn't quite hear, but there's nothing.
Yeah, so this time it's a lot of...
I could hear myself blinking.
The blinks, the chair moving. It's nice and quiet, which is perfect. It's exactly what you want for a podcast.
But not for room tone.
Yeah, not a lot of really... no distractions, which is wonderful. And now we drink.
Yes. We're also in the evening now. Last time we recorded, it was in the morning, and I was like, I can't.
Yeah, last time we were up here, it was in the morning.
It's now literally 5 o'clock somewhere.
5 o'clock somewhere.
It's 5:25.
So, my love,
Yes.
what are we going to discuss on today's episode? I feel like I have done, now I'm not calling you out in a sense of like you haven't done your due diligence by any means, because you very much have, but
Yeah.
the last few episodes I've been bringing up quite a few powerful topics, deep thought-provoking topics that we've had the opportunity to really dive into quite a bit, like last week's episode. Have you thought any more about last week's episode? Do you even remember what last week's episode was? What was it?
Bigfoot.
It was 2 weeks ago, but that's cool. Last week was...
You cannot put me on the spot like that. I literally just got a message from Stevie. I was thinking about, hey, you were saying how good of a job I was doing at showing up, so you were going to try.
Yeah.
And then you start doing it, and you're like, looks like I'm holding down the fort over here. What are you going to do? And I just went like, okay.
You're right. That's exactly it.
I went blank. So what was...
That's totally
I'm so
what I did.
sorry. Yeah.
I remember that. That was several weeks ago where I'm like, gosh, I really got to up my game because you have done an amazing job.
Yeah, I'm not saying you're not pulling your weight, but...
So 2 weeks of me bringing up topics, and now I'm like, well, apparently there's only one person carrying this load here, but...
You don't even remember last week. Well, I remember we've had a lot of conversations, and I know we had a really deep conversation that was personal, but I don't know if it was on the podcast or not, because we have deep conversations on the podcast, and we have deep conversations in person.
I'm trying to think of what deep conversation we had in person.
I'm thinking of, there's 3 of you.
There's 3 of me.
Mm-hmm. Well, not of you, but like of... Did you talk about your brothers?
I did not talk about my brothers on last
We didn't
week's
talk about
episode.
your brothers either in person.
Last week was binary. Last week
Binary,
was good
that's
and
right.
evil. Last week was the big discussion about what we can do in helping the world move forward from the small-minded peasant way of thinking of life.
I'm sorry, I wasn't thinking in the binary, so I couldn't just keep the only 2 options that you
Well,
gave
you're
me.
very expansive.
I was very expansive.
You are very, very expansive.
Did you ever find that third side of the coin?
The third side of the coin. You dork. We've had some very good personal conversations in the last
Yes.
little bit.
You get them mixed up too. You're like, what did we talk about on the podcast? What did we talk about with you and I?
I know. And then there's stuff that we're talking about right now in our current daily life that we keep talking like we're going to talk about on the podcast, but yet we're not going to yet.
I think that's my fault.
It's not really.
Really? You don't want to either?
I mean, yes
You
and no.
asked. You like messaged me that one time. You sent me a text. You're like, do you want to?
I was drunker that day. I think I probably had like 4 or 5 beers in me when I was like ready to talk about it then.
If I had 4 or 5 beers in me, I would have probably been asleep or ready to talk about it. I probably would have brought it up. I'd have been like, you know what's on my mind? Let me tell you what's been going around in my girl.
Well, we're not ready for it yet.
Oh, no.
So-
I'm 1 sip in.
If we keep
This is not enough to get me talking.
tiptoeing around it, then we'll accidentally
Have
trip
another
over it.
tequila episode. I'll start talking.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, I think it's the last time I've had tequila too.
Was it?
Yeah. Tequila's not something you touch very often.
Well, tequila's like, nope, I'm good. Stephanie tried to have some more, and they're like, I'm okay. You know what? Right now, I don't want a lot of Stephanie in my life. Last time it didn't go so well for either of us.
I bring the fun out in tequila.
The
I make
things she
tequila
did.
make bad choices.
Tequila choices.
Tequila goes to church after a night with me. They're like, "Jeez."
That's a good T-shirt.
So yeah, I haven't had it since.
Yeah.
So that's
Well, let's do a light one.
a light one, a tequila light.
No, a light episode.
Okay.
Because we have been pretty dense lately, and we need to balance it. I
Okay.
do want
You
to.
should have been started drinking. That's how we have good ones. When we come in and we're a little buzzed or a little, then it's
What else? A little what?
we make our heads do this.
Crack
Yeah.
my neck. I do want to shout out to all the people that have been tuning in recently, because the cool thing about the podcast, and I talk about it often and I mention it quite frequently, is it just has continually, perpetually, continue.
It's a little cyclical there.
grown.
Round and
Yeah.
around. Yeah. It's
And
up.
it's great. It's a fun thing to watch and see all the different places that people tune in from and subscribe and all that jazz. And Sweden, I think, we got a
Sweden?
lot more downloads in Sweden recently for some reason. So if you're
Nice.
Swedish, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
India, Pakistan, South Africa.
Really?
Good listeners down in South Africa. So hello, South Africans.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, just all over the world. There's
That's
lots.
pretty cool.
It's been cool. Kentucky too. I want to say Greenbow. Does that sound like Kentucky? Does that sound
Yes.
like Kentucky?
It sounds like Kentucky.
Greenbow.
Is
No,
it
that's
Greenbow?
Alabama.
I'm not the one that travels.
Wow.
I'm the one that goes to the grocery store and comes home with some almond milk.
There's a place in
And-
Kentucky that a lot of people have been tuning in. So
That's really cool.
it is cool.
All right.
So welcome
Thank
people,
you.
new people to the podcast. And if you're one of our new subscribers to YouTube, welcome as well. I'm Stephanie. This is Craig. We're your hosts for the podcast. But yeah, we haven't done a light one in a while. It's
Okay.
been deep.
Light it is. All right.
We don't have, well,
I like
at the
it
end of the day,
deep.
we get to do whatever we want, right? You do like it deep.
I do like it. I give a little, like
A
a little
little
nod. Like, you know what I'm talking about.
Person listening over there,
Barb.
right?
You and me, lady. We know. I haven't talked to Barb for a
Barb's
while.
a deep gal, that's for sure. She don't fuck around.
All right. So light. We're going light.
Or whatever. You've got your
Okay.
journal up here.
Yeah, I was just in case.
Well, let's go
My
to
journal is not light.
it. Good, let's do it.
No, let's try go with some light stuff.
I struggle so hard in the light.
It's not my fault. It's okay to come out of the shadows occasionally and bask in the light.
It is okay.
You don't always have to be in the deep dive.
Well, it's like the thing at group. So if I think every episode I'm going to continually be like, so if this is your first episode of the podcast, granted, at some point, I mean, it's always somebody's first episode, right?
We're always somebody's first. Can I get out top?
No, men's group. So there's a men's group that I go to every week. And one of the things that we do at group is once a month, we have designated the first
Sunday?
Sunday of every month, because we meet on Sundays. The first Sunday of every month is
Are you going to say whatever?
Gratitude Sunday. I know we don't call it Gratitude Sunday. We call it something else, but that's an inside joke for group. And so the goal and the purpose of it is to spend the entire evening discussing, connecting, and really just allowing yourself to feel all the joy and happiness and gratitude that you have for your life and everything that's going well and everything that's going on in your life that you're happy about. And it is so incredibly hard for me.
So incredibly hard for
It
you.
is. It's so incredibly hard for me to sit and bask in all the joy. And yet I'm full of it.
Yeah.
I'm full of joy and gratitude and happiness. But it's like trying to really slow down. It's almost, I think this is what it is. I don't know how to sit in it for very long. Like I have a lot of practice and experience in sitting in negative emotions, right?
Okay.
That's something that I think a lot of people could relate with. And then when it comes to sitting in positive emotions, I think to bring awareness to it feels awkward. To just be happy and kind of be in this positive, grateful kind of state of mind feels more natural. But then if you suddenly bring awareness to it, then it feels weird. At least for me, it feels awkward. It's like, bring awareness to what you're grateful for. That's easy. I'm grateful for a lot of things. Now really let that gratitude fill you up inside. Let all that joy and happiness just kind of expand and grow. And what comes up in that happiness and in that joy?
Comes up about that high. It's like, oh, we're going to bask in it. Okay.
Right? It's hard. So I don't know. It's just a weird thing. And that's why we do it. That's why we practice it at group. But I get the same thing here where let's just do a light episode. And as you can see, I'm immediately talking about things that aren't necessarily super, I mean, it's light enough, but yeah, it's hard. I feel like I'm doing a disservice to myself if I'm not doing deep work.
I relate to that part of it.
And I feel like I'm doing a disservice to the people listening if we're not doing like deep introspective stuff on the podcast so that they have something to listen to other than just us being silly.
Yeah. I don't know. Us being silly is kind of great. It's my
is.
Default. Uncomfortable, I'll crack a joke. Will it be a good joke? Nope. But I'll try and be funny.
It's a good joke sometimes.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me one. Remember something funny I've done.
There was one just the other day.
What did I say?
I don't remember.
See?
But I know that there was
Just
one.
the other day, there was that moment. You had a flash of funny.
No, you're really funny.
I am funny.
You're really funny. I don't think you're as funny as I am, but you're funny.
That was pretty ballsy.
I'm funny.
You are funny.
See, that was the joke.
It was okay. I relate with you when there's like with the group thing that I'm doing. It's different than your group, but
You don't go to my men's group?
no, not just because it's men and women. It's just like yours is like a welcoming for all, and it's going to be there, and it's weekly, and it's going to continue on without. And mine is a temporary
3-month-long thing, right?
3-month-long thing that was anyway. So it's just different.
Yeah,
it's a
lot different.
program. I guess I'm in a program. I'm in a 3-month-long program with a bunch of
rather than a
women,
group.
which are really like those women, by the way, if any of you are listening. But I like when like the sitting in the joy part, it's like I don't want to waste that time with the light because that's the easy stuff. I can do the easy stuff on my own. I want to get in there. I want to get in the dirt. I want to get my hands dirty. I want to get everything dirty. I want to strip everything off and just like have the raw realness. So I don't want to do it light. And I don't know that I feel the same here though. Like it's both. It's both. I definitely want to have good, like soul hitting and thought provoking. But there's times I also just want to be funny.
It's your funny dance?
Like, that's my
What
funny
was
dance.
that?
I'm not doing it again. But so I understand, but it is more balanced in this space for me. Even though I can't think of anything funny at the moment or lighthearted to talk about.
Yeah. Whenever it comes up like Gratitude Sunday, I'm always like I sit there and think about, I can't oftentimes think past, I mean, I'm grateful for a lot of things in life, right? But they seem trivial. Like I'm grateful that I'm healthy. I'm grateful that I'm alive. I'm grateful that I have this house and that I'm grateful for.
Why is that trivial?
Well, it's not trivial. Those are important things.
Mm-hmm.
But then like let's take, I don't know, what would be one?
Beer.
No, not beer.
Beer's trivial.
Yeah, but I'm grateful for beer too.
Yeah, but that's trivial.
It is very trivial. That's a trivial thing.
Yeah. The couple of beers on a podcast.
Being alive right now and having like a
That's
healthy
not trivial.
body, that isn't trivial. But to sit in it for an extended period of time, like just sit there and be happy and grateful that you're alive. What comes up in that space? What emotions start to rise up? What does your body start to feel?
feel lucky. I start to feel warmth in my chest build. Excitement. Wanting to really like grab hold. And then on the outskirts, starting to come in is like guilt. Like, why do I get to be healthy and happy? There's so many that, and it starts to, the weight of those that aren't come in. And then I feel like cruel, being like, I'm over here happy. And then I kind of, we talked about this earlier, kind of. Like there was not exactly this, but like that whole thing that comes up, and then it kind of pushes out to where I get to be happy. So I don't know, I feel grateful.
Yeah.
Like I can today in this moment, I can sit in the feeling of being here, being healthy, and being happy to be alive. It's not always an easy thing to sit in. There's days when it's hard. I'm having a good day. I can sit in it today and feel good and feel warm and be like, yeah, it's a good day.
Do you see the challenge though? How it's like it's easy
Today.
Well, it's easy today, but it's also like, now imagine trying to do that for 10 minutes as opposed to like the 30 seconds, maybe a minute of trying to really tap in and feel it.
Would you like me to?
No.
Want to sit here for 10 minutes? And think, can I do something else? Am I meditating? Hold on.
Everybody push pause on their
I'm going to have 10 minutes of gratitude.
player right now and come back in 10 minutes when Steph's done. No,
I think I can do that.
I'm sure you could, but I'm saying it's hard.
Yes.
At least it's hard for me.
Depending on the day.
And it's not even just
impossible some
sitting in the
days.
gratitude of being alive and being happy and being healthy. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for our relationship.
Can you be grateful for me for 10 minutes?
I can be grateful for you for a lot longer than 10 minutes. I'm grateful for our children. I'm grateful for their health and their happiness. All of these things. But then when we sit there at group and we try to go into stuff, I'm like, yeah, I'm grateful for all of this stuff that I just said.
Mm-hmm.
But that seems trivial in the moment, because that is like something that I am continually ongoing, like grateful for every day. And so it's like I need to find something else or something different so that I can explore gratitude and joy and happiness more. And I'm realizing now as I'm talking that, I mean, this is obviously my problem.
Well, yeah.
Right.
Why are you not allowed to be happy or be happy out loud?
I don't think that's the case.
Okay.
I think it's...
You're like, I can sit in it. I can be happy and joyful and grateful for you and grateful for my life, but I can't a group. Got to find something else a group.
Well, I think that's part of the dynamic that group is for me, is that exploration into the unknown. Because it's always about, yes, I have a problem. Yes, I, like 2 weeks ago or whatever it was, I dived in pretty deep into my relationship with my family and with my brothers and under some deep, painful emotions that were there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always this exploratory space of trying to go deeper and go deeper and go deeper.
I relate on that. I
And
like that.
that's a good thing. It's a beneficial thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then to balance it out on the opposite end of the spectrum with joy and happiness and gratitude,
Mm-hmm.
how do I go deeper into that?
You got to start off by allowing the first thing that you're happy about, letting that be okay, and then it opens up the door for more possibilities.
Okay.
Ooh, I pissed you off.
Oh,
Why?
no. You didn't piss me off at all.
Okay.
You're very right.
Okay.
You're very right.
Okay.
I don't know why I can't.
Oh.
Like, it's a weird thing.
I can't do lots of things.
It's a very strange thing to me to sit there and struggle in letting that joy fill me up.
Yeah.
And I can do it sometimes, but then honestly, it's few and far in between. It's so much easier for me to be like, yes, I'm grateful. Yes, I'm happy. Now let's go to work on exploring pain and sadness and anger and all these other things that I've convinced myself are going to be the solution to my happiness. And it is to some extent, but it's not the end all be all, right? I mean, like where I'm at today right now, this is no longer a fucking light episode, apparently. Hopefully we can just intermix and like
It's ultra.
get drunk enough and fuck up. But
Gonna go ways to go.
what was I saying? Do you remember?
Yeah.
What was I saying?
Okay. Well, now I just like froze on that whole, where you go into it, you feel like it's, you have to get into the deep. You have to get into the work. I'm not saying that verbatim, which really sucks. You don't want to stay in the light. You can do that for a minute. And then it's like, yeah. Let's get into the deep. Let's get into the stuff. And all I could think was is suffrage. You feel like you have to suffer. So the feeling I got from you overpowered your words, and I'm sorry.
No.
I guess I wasn't actively listening.
Yeah, I mean, it's a punishment.
I was, but I heard your feelings more than your words.
It's definitely that punishment, that suffrage. Suffrage is a good word for it.
Yeah.
It's almost like you deserve to suffer, right?
Don't be happy. Look at this. You need to really feel your pain before you can feel your joy.
Yeah, and I do deserve to be happy, obviously.
What
Like
is
we
it
all
about?
do.
What block do you have for being happy in that space? What are you unhappy with in that space that stops you from, like, even, like, why is it? What do you need to change? What change do you need? What do you need to fill in that space for happiness to be able to flow through you?
What do I need to change? I don't know. I don't know if change is the right word or change is the right thought.
Let go? Release?
What do I need to allow? All these silly words. I'm very confused now.
Okay.
And I feel very stupid. I feel silly right now. I feel... It's the funniest thing in the world, right? Because we're sitting here in this room together. It's like it always is on the podcast where we feel like there's a bunch of people watching us.
I don't like eye
And it's
contact.
like, oh, shit. And you're the only one here. I feel very much exposed. And I just feel dumb. I feel like I'm standing up in front of the class and I don't have the answer to the question that the teacher just asked. You just asked me a question. Like, I don't have a fucking answer.
I feel that all the time.
And then I'm like standing there and everybody's watching me. You're like, why aren't you happy, Craig? I am happy. Why can't you feel happiness? I do. I feel it all the time. Well, we're going to set up a time where the sole purpose of that time is for you to sit down and feel happiness, feel gratitude, and feel joy. So come sit down and feel all of those things right now. That's uncomfortable. It's hard to breathe now. It's easy to chalk it up. I know I say this to you a lot, and I probably have mentioned it a time or two on this podcast, but it's always a mixture of everything, right? It's never just one thing. What are you doing?
Breathing.
Stop moving. Can't you tell I'm anxious? You're staring at me. Stop staring at me. I'm full of ink. Don't fuck them fucking cards all over the floor now. It's a nerve-wracking feeling. The idea that I know how to do the other stuff.
Yeah.
Like the alternative is today we're going to devote the time to diving deep into anger. Done. Sign me up.
And
I'll be the first one up.
wow.
Sadness.
We differ.
Sadness. Copy. I got that. I can do that. Well, we're going to get really raw and vulnerable and it's going to be really hard. That's fine. I can do all of that. And then it's like, hey, next week we're going to sit in happiness for a while. Okay. So you're going to have to come up with something that you're happy for and grateful for, and then you're going to have to fill it. Okay, I can do that. Not so well. That's interesting. What is that? I don't like that. What is that?
Speaking for myself, I'm very attracted to the deep work right now because
Because you like it deep.
because I like deep. My shield is, it's fine. Everything's fine. I'm fine. It's fine. It's fine. Here's a smile. Here's a joke. My shield is the light. So getting into the deep stuff is hard. So if they're like, we're going to keep it light today, like even though it's because this is a 3-month program.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to waste it on surface. I want to get into the stuff that I'm afraid of. But all out, it's like, no, I want it light. Because when we're like, we're going to get into anger today, that's where I'm like, I'm about to turn into a stand-up comedian. I'm going to have some jokes for you. Get into sadness. It's like, I can get into those things, but I'm more resistant there. And that's why I crave it so much in this. So I wonder if it's because you are so willing all the time to go into the deep. Like you've been in the deep work forever. Like I feel like that is you didn't really fuck around with the, let's make it sparkly. You're like, let's go to the source. So maybe you just kind of forgot how. I don't know.
There was a thing a few weeks ago at group where I recognized a part of myself that just wanted to play.
Yeah.
And play in just the literal sense of the word play. Nothing, I don't have to go much deeper than this part of me just wants to play. And so I kind of recognized it and put that part of myself in charge of play in my life. And so recently I've been picking up the guitar in the evening and playing the guitar, but not just playing the guitar. That's a space where I'm playing.
I watched you have fun last night.
Yeah.
I watched you like get lost in the music and let your body flow. And it was beautiful.
And that was a very, not necessarily deliberate, but I let myself feel that. And I let myself relax into that place and just let that be a playful moment and play.
There was a shift. There was a shift, and also in the way it sounded. Like, I don't think I've ever heard you play like that before. You shifted and then went into it, and I was just like,
it was like
amazing.
Some real guitar
it was amazing.
It was cool. So there's that dynamic where I need to allow for more of that play in my life, and I recognize that, and I love it, and I want more of it. And I think that might have some combination with this joy, happiness, gratitude thing.
You need to dive into it more.
Yeah.
Play in it. I think we need to stop and we need to go outside. And I think we're going to have a snowball fight.
Yeah, I think I do need to, let's see, I just got some weird twinge in my back.
Yeah, like I watch you go throughout the day. You're serious, but you're playful. You'll have fun. Like you'll do things that are like, you'll dance with the car. I see you happy. You smile. It doesn't seem like you're a miserable person. Like,
I don't think I'm a miserable person at all, obviously. But what if that's my subconscious doing it?
Your subconscious playing?
Well, I used to have this thought, and it's a legitimate thought for me. It's a belief, actually. It's something that I think happens. The way I would describe it to people is, we'll just take meditation, for example. A lot of people struggle with meditation. It's a hard thing to do, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people can't do it or don't make time for it or whatever the case may be, or they think they can't do it. And like a simplified version of meditation or a simplified way of thinking of meditation is just your brain slowing down and relaxing.
Okay.
And you kind of become disconnected from your thought process and you kind of go out into this unknown space for a moment, right?
Okay.
And neurologically, physiologically, that's a word, check it. Your body has all of these benefits when your brain does that, when your brain shuts down.
Yeah.
So your brain / your body will seize opportunities to do that subconsciously when you aren't paying attention because of the benefits and because of not even the benefits, but the actual need that our body has to do that. So like when we're driving and we zone out and you don't remember taking the exit, you don't remember until you pull up into the driveway and you're like, holy shit, I don't remember the last 20 minutes of driving. That was your body taking over and using that time period to disconnect so that everything could cycle down for a moment. Where if we do it consciously through meditation, we can achieve that same thing.
Okay.
So maybe me playing is my body's subconscious way of balancing out this anxiety-ridden, focused, stressed out existence that I'm living to some extent. And so subconsciously, I'm playing and relaxing and doing all of these other things. What do you think? That's a thought for you right there. What do you think, babe?
It's a thought for you right there.
It's a mouthful. That's what she said.
I'm actually getting kind of, I don't know, I'm getting kind of shut off.
Oh, no.
Well, no, it's like it is what it is, but I'm kind of feeling like, well, fuck.
What is shutting you off here?
Something seems off in this moment, and I don't know what it is.
All the technology's working.
Good.
Help me, please.
I'm trying. I don't know. Something feels off. There's something that doesn't feel, I'm missing something. Like, I don't feel, it doesn't feel exactly authentic. Something feels, it kind of feels like bullshit. I don't know what that is. I'm sorry. That's what I'm feeling. And it's making me, the reaction that my body is feeling from that association is, all right, let's just sit over here and smile.
You checking out?
Yeah, checking out.
So you calling me on my bullshit?
If that's what it is.
Well,
I'm feeling something that I'm not connecting with what you're saying because I think you're, it is so hard when you're opening your heart and you're saying things and to hear what I'm feeling, but I kind of feel like you're full of shit. And when you hear that, it's like, oh, I just opened up and that. So I don't know. I'm not connecting with truth with you. It doesn't feel, I don't know.
No, that's an important thing to say, Steph. That's an important thing to say. I told you earlier, I talked 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago, I feel really fucking stupid.
Okay.
I feel really fucking stupid right now. This is the epitome of what it feels like for me to try to do a gratitude night at group.
Okay.
I feel fucking stupid. I feel like I'm wasting time. I feel like I'm wasting their time, the people that are listening. I feel like I'm wasting your time. I feel like it's pointless.
Why?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
I feel like, okay.
What were you going to say? You feel like I know?
No, I was gonna say that, but I stopped for myself from saying that.
Seems like I know you pretty well. So, yeah, after I talked about feeling uncomfortable and feeling awkward, then I shifted and tried to redirect into a space that I felt more comfortable in.
Okay.
And you're right, it is bullshit to some extent, because you're waiting for me to go back to that place so that we can feel through why it is that I don't like sitting in that joy and happiness. And I don't know if I have an answer other than it feels scary. So if I equate joy and happiness, like if I just think about gratitude's one thing. I don't think I struggle with gratitude. I think I struggle with joy and happiness and letting a moment not just be and exist, but also like, I was going to burp right into the mic, but also kind of expand and like grow. And I gotta quit saying I think. What it feels like is I'm scared. I'm scared to be in those moments because they're going to end. And then I have to go back into moments that aren't that. So it's like, I don't want to get too comfortable. So a lot of stuff has been coming up for me about my not just my childhood per se, but the dynamics of my family life and my mother, my father, and my brothers and things like that. And if I apply this thought process that I'm going down right now to those moments and to that time period in my life, I have a lot of good memories. A lot of what I think. A lot of moments that I think were joyful, and I can kind of fill into some of the joyful moments and things like that from my childhood. And then if I go to those time periods and I say, hey, you little boy Craig, why don't you just relax into this moment for a minute and feel this joyful moment a little bit longer? Then the next, like what that little kid would say is, well, I can't. Be like, why? Because at any moment, it's like not just going to end, but like at any moment, I'm going to get hit or attacked, or like my brothers are going to do something that's going to, you know, take this joyful moment and cause it to end. And so I think that's probably what this is, babe, is the reason I have a hard time staying in those moments for an extended period of time and just letting them grow and expand is because I'm afraid. Because I didn't have a lot of practice of being in those moments for an extended period of time without something else negatively impacting them or affecting them. So there wasn't a whole bunch of time to just sit around and feel happiness and joy, because it was always balanced out with something else. It was balanced out with stress or chaos or fear or physical violence from my brothers. There was just a lot of fighting when we were younger. And over the course of my life, I used to think that that was a normal thing. And I think there is some normal aspects of it. But I also think it's an incredibly unhealthy thing. And I'm coming to terms with how unhealthy that violence was for me as a young boy. And how detrimental that has been. And what that has done to me to live in that constant state of fear. I have a hard time saying fear. I have a hard time admitting that it was fear. It's easier for me to say in that constant state of readiness, because I was always ready to like fight or defend myself. And it's the simplest thing. We used to do this thing when we were little. It was called a pepe. And my Uncle Eddie taught it to us. And it's smacking each other in the forehead. So it's like you come around the corner or somebody's laying on the couch watching TV and you go up and you smack them in the forehead. It's called a pepe. And so we did that for a long time. So you'd be like chilling, minding your own business, and then your brother comes up and smacks you in the forehead. And we weren't like softly love tapping each other in the forehead, right? It was like, I mean, it's not like an all-out punch in the face, but they weren't soft little love taps. It was a straight up fucking smack in your fucking forehead. So that's the kind of thing where it's like, oh, I was relaxed, or I was playing a game, or I was in my little world of playing G.I. Joe or something like that, and then smacked in the fucking forehead to be brought out of it. And that stuff had a very negative impact on me in a lot of different ways that I'm kind of finally starting to understand. I used to think it was beneficial because it hardened me and it made me tough. And I am tough. I mean, I got really, really bitter really fast. And it was like, fuck them. I was just going to be tougher than both of them because I was tired of getting picked on and getting left out. And if they were going to fucking pick on me and fight me and try to, like, if they were going to fight, like, if we were going to fucking fight, I wasn't going to get hurt anymore. I was going to fucking be stronger than they were. And so I used to think it was a beneficial thing because it hardened me and it made me tough. And that's some benefit, I think, in life. But the flip side of that is the immense trauma that it created in me. And the fear of always being, always having the threat of like physical violence or them verbally attacking me in some way, shape, or form, and emotionally attacking me. And I mean, this is my podcast, and this is my life, and this is my story, and this is my experience. I know my brothers had their own life and their own experiences and their own reasons for behaving the way that they did. And I reciprocated. I mean, I was the youngest of three. So this was the game. This was the life that I was born into. So I had to learn real quickly how to survive. So yeah, I think that's the root of this whole thing of trying to sit in happiness and joy. I'm afraid to, because it comes at a price. It's a letting of my guard down. If I sit there and relax into the joy of life, I'm going to get made fun of, I'm going to get teased, or I'm going to get hit and attacked, and I'm going to have to defend myself. So I really, like I was saying earlier, I think I do this subconscious thing of just playing, because that's who I really am. There's a lady at Solberg's. Solberg's is our local grocery store, if you don't live here where we live. And she's the florist lady. You know where the florist is at the store. So the same path that I walk in the store every day when we go down there, I always walk the same path. And coming down through the vegetables, down from the dairy aisle, I'm walking that path, and she's down in the corner in her little florist booth. And she laughs and jokes at me sometimes in a very nice way. She's not mean about it at all, because oftentimes I'm dancing as I'm walking along. And I'm like in my own head and in my own space, just fucking swinging around and dancing as I'm walking around the store. And I'm completely oblivious to it. It's not like a thing that I'm consciously doing. I'm not like, oh, this is a really good... Sometimes I don't even know what the fuck song is. It has nothing to do with like the music that's playing in the store. I'm just in a good mood, walking along, dancing. And so she'll joke and tease with me and kind of comment on how it makes her happy to see me dancing as I'm walking around. And I think that is just the subconscious way of my body expressing the joy and happiness that I do feel. I'm really fucking happy, and I'm really fucking grateful in life. But there's something about, there may be a thing about sitting down with a group of men and doing it. Like there may be the fact that I'm sitting in a men's group surrounded by other men, and hey, sit down and slow down and start feeling some joy and happiness. Fuck you fuckers, because I'm getting ready to fucking fight any one of you at any given point. I don't feel that way, obviously. I love those guys. But maybe there's some subconscious thing there where it's like, but it's weird because I let my guard down and I feel vulnerable, like really vulnerable with them. But then yet there's this other dynamic of feel happy. I don't think so. I think that's what it is. That doesn't feel like bullshit.
It doesn't feel like bullshit.
No. That feels more accurate. And more uncomfortable. So that's probably it.
Sounds about right, right? Yeah.
We think about, my parents weren't all that physically abusive. And I say all that because I remember being spanked and hit by each of them at some point in my life. It wasn't excessive and it wasn't a lot. but I do remember it. But I remember fighting on the fucking regular with my brothers.
Yeah.
Like daily. It was daily fighting with them. And it was either verbally arguing and fighting with one another or physically fighting with one another. All the doors in our house, all the bedroom doors in our house were just completely fucking demolished. They had so many holes that had been punched and kicked and, slammed up against, because the MO was run into your room, close it behind you, sit down in front of the door so that they can't get in, and then the other person's on the outside beating the shit out of the door. Like, I remember doing that on the regular. And our doors showed it. Like, the door itself is evidence of what took place. They were fucking trashed. So I've never really sat and thought about what that did to me as a kid and as a little boy, because it was normal. That was just the way life was. My parents weren't intervening. Yes, they would get mad at us at times, and yes, they would separate us, and yes, there would be consequences for this, that, and the other, but it never stopped. So now as I sit here and think about the effects that something like that would have on a little boy, that's fucked up. Like, that's really fucking shitty to think that I grew up in a house where I constantly had to run and sit down in front of the fucking door so that I didn't get fucking attacked. And I'm hesitant to call it abuse, but that's what it is. But is it abuse if it's my, brother that's 2 years older than me, or my brother that's 4 years older than me? Whether it's abuse or not, I don't think it really matters what we label it, but it's what it is. It's violence. It's physical harm. All of it is fucking impactful. And I haven't ever really thought about that. I would think I've done copious amounts of processing about my fucking parents. And I think now I'm just starting to do more about my brothers and what the effects of, and it's such a hard thing to process, because not only do I love them, but I have compassion for them as well, because they're children, right?
Yeah.
I'm not looking at them as adults doing this to a child. I'm looking at them as my older fucking brothers back in the day, right? I remember what they looked like. I remember what it felt like. And I beat the shit out of them. That's the other thing. I wasn't just a fucking victim. I got to that point where I was done, and that age was very young. I remember being fucking little and thinking, motherfuckers, we're done. I'm crazy. I was crazy. That's what I would do. Because I'd have to go fucking nuts. If you want to fucking fight, motherfucker, that's fine, but I'm going to go fucking crazy. And I was violent. And so that isn't healthy either. But it's hard to process through this, because I love them and I care about them. And I know that all three of us were brought up into this house where that dynamic and whatever created that in them, in order to perpetuate that cycle, by the time I came around and into the picture, that environment had to have been created. And obviously that meant that it was created by our parents, right? My dad wasn't overly violent, but the threat of violence was always looming. The fear of violence was always there. So it's hard for me to process through this stuff in regards to my brothers, because I look at them as children like me, and they too were victims of something. They too were victims of the environment that we were brought up in. So it's this double bind spot where I love them and I don't want to be mad at them and I don't want to be angry at them, because they were victims of this environment. But I'm also fucking really angry at them, because I was a tiny little kid. I was the youngest, and they were dicks to me for what am I, 38 now? 39 years old now?
That's fine.
Right? Like, you know, not a lot's changed other than we're just not physically violent anymore. Because they know I'd fuck them up.
Didn't you break your brother's leg?
No.
I heard the story, so I didn't
we
know.
were just fucking around and I flipped him and threw him on the ground and he hit his leg on the fucking table. So the table broke his
Last time
leg.
they fucked with Craig, I'll tell you that.
No, he stopped. I mean, they both stopped physically attacking me because I got to the point where I was big enough. I mean, I was crazy from an early age, but then at the point where I got too big and it was like, I mean, they just stopped. I remember my oldest brother, we came home and watched Fight Club. So we go to the theater and we watch Fight Club and then we come home and we fight in the backyard. And it was like very quickly before I realized I was better at it than he was. And we were hitting each other this time. A lot of times growing up, we didn't necessarily punch each other in the face. It was a lot of punching each other in the body or in the back or in the arms and things like that. But this time we were punching each other in the face because we just got done watching Fight Club. And it wasn't long as him and I were standing out there in the backyard boxing, just bare knuckle boxing without anything on our hands, that it was really apparent that I was better at it than him. And I started to hit him and work him over a little bit. And he started to get fucked up. And there was at one point where he had like gone over and kind of hunched over to his side and was gone down. And I was coming over the top to kind of punch him in the face, like finish him in a sense, kind of like it was this. I'm not going to sit here and replay the combination of left, right. It wasn't that spectacular, but it was enough to fuck him up. And I realized as I was like, it was like slow motion. I was coming over to hit him in the face really hard because he was leaned over and totally vulnerable and exposed. And I stopped and I didn't hit him. And we kind of finished. But it was like this really weird moment where I realized suddenly he's my oldest brother. He's the person that I have looked up to the most my entire life. He's also the person that in some way, shape, or form, I always feared quite a bit because he was always bigger than me. And in this moment, I just had this really clear moment that I could hurt him and like hurt him bad. And I didn't because I loved him and I stopped. So yeah. What is it? Steph and I have been in the middle of fucking Mars retrograde like everybody else.
We got 3 days
And we got a
left.
couple more days left before this
3
motherfucker
days
gets done.
left, people.
And all it's doing is bringing up the past. And this is a big part of it for me right now that I've been processing this shit with these fucking brothers of mine.
And war. Mars is at war.
Yeah.
Past, so.
And so, yeah, I think in order for me to be able to sit back and fucking be happy, I got to process through all of that fucking anxiety, fear, and trauma that I experienced as a child growing up because of the environment that I lived in regards to my brothers.
Yeah.
And that's really sad. Like, that's sad. That makes me really sad.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't even know how to begin. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what that process looks like.
Maybe it's allowing yourself to feel joy in a circle of men you trust and love.
It's a good start.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a good place to start. Stop playing with my fucking cards. We need to drink some more fucking beer. It's supposed to be a fun episode, babe.
I'm sorry. Almost got one done.
What did you do?
What did I do?
I'm teasing. It's not your fault. It's nobody's fault. You're a witch. You brainwashed me. She's a witch.
Not a witch, I'm my wife.
Well, miss, call me out on my bullshit. Does that feel a little bit more accurate?
Completely connected to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny how that works, huh? So you did a good job. You said the
You
hard
did a
thing,
good job.
right? You said the hard thing. Yeah. And that helped me go deeper instead of allowing me to just stay in my bullshit and you to sit over there disconnected and tuned out and not really giving a shit.
Yeah, are you going to turn this about me?
No. No. But yeah. Stephanie's amazing, folks. You really are. But we both are. We do this for each other all the time.
Yeah.
And then we just sit down in our comfort of our own home and record it for you fucks. So hopefully people enjoy. They do. We know they do. I don't know what else to say, baby. It's big.
I think we're good.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to share? Anything else you want to comment on? Anything else you want to say? No?
No, I love you so much. I'm so proud of you.
I love you too.
I'm going to challenge you.
Can it be a little one?
Yeah, it can be a little one.
Okay. What's the little one?
How you're like, I don't know where to start. It's the thing about, how about in a circle of men that you love and trust? What about, it's just one day a month. It's just one day a month.
Okay.
On the first Sunday of the month when you have your gratitude, that day, just to get you in the mindset, you just set a goal for that day that you're going to notice things that you find joy in. Just that day before you go in, you're going to be like, oh, got good sleep last night. Man, this coffee is good this morning. You just spend just that day. So you're in a gratitude mindset and you're finding the joy in things. And then when you go on that, you've already been practicing and in the mindset.
Will you help me remember?
Yeah.
Let's put it on the calendar.
Let's do that.
So we can do it on the calendar. So then I remember. And because I think that's a really good idea. And then when that day comes around, you can help me remember and I will do that all that day leading up to group. So then I'll come to group fully prepared and having been sat and marinated in joy all day long. So I like that. Thank you for listening, folks. As always, this is the Energy is Love podcast. You can find more at ENERGYISLOVEPodcast.com. If you haven't yet, go find and follow us on Facebook. And you can follow Stephanie and I both individually on Instagram. We do not have an Instagram account for the podcast itself because fuck that. I ain't got time to run an Instagram account for the podcast. And it's not that big of a deal.
But you know how present I am on social media.
Stephanie started a podcast or a Instagram account for the podcast. There is no posts.
There'd be one.
There is a profile picture. It's of a foot. But go follow us on Instagram. Go follow the podcast on Facebook and whatever platform you're listening to. All the various ways to connect and find this podcast and hear this podcast. Just like it. Rate it. If you have the capacity to leave a review, leave a review. And if you don't want to do any of those things that take an extra 30 seconds or an extra minute, then simply tell somebody about the podcast. That's always the big thing too. It's super helpful and super beneficial so that it continues to organically grow over the course of time. I love you.
I love you.
Everybody go out and feel some joy.
Is on the calendar.
Good, thank you. And if you have older brothers that beat the shit out of you, give them a call. I'm going to try to talk to mine at some point in some way, shape, or form. But yeah.
And if you're an older brother, maybe you should call your little brother.
That's a good idea too. Yeah, your little brother definitely wants to talk to you. But I love you.
I love you.